Hey, it's Roger from MiWayJourneys, and I wanted to just go through the first part of my van build. First van I've ever done. I know how to do a lot of things, but for those things that I haven't, I've relied on some, I wouldn't say experts, but other people that kind of trailblaze the area. And I'll mention those out here in a little bit. And I would also say from a collaboration, an unwitting collaboration by using YouTube as a resource. So I bought a 2023 Ford Transit 148 extended, stripped down, nothing on the inside, and you'll see that in some of the images coming up. But I've chosen to name my van Arabella, and the reason for that is I am a registered son of the American Revolution, and my roots go back to England in the 1630s when they came to the New World on the Winthrop fleet aboard the Arabella. And they ended up landing in Salem, didn't like the land, and then they came around to what is known today as Watertown, Massachusetts. So that was really, and then Winthrop, who was the first governor, moved into Boston, is where he built on the Boston Peninsula that was at the time. But the ship Arabella, which was originally the Eagle, was renamed, for Lady Arabella Johnson, who was the wife and a descendant of King Edward II. So the Arabella carries 300 Puritans from Yarmouth, eventually to Watertown, Connecticut in 1630. And the ship made a few other runs with from England back and then returning to the New World, and then went into a shipping kind of as a cargo ship. It kind of, the history of the ship kind of faded away. Wasn't able to find much else about it. There was a replica built back in 1954, is a on the 300th anniversary of the ship's building, but has since again, that even the replica is no longer in existence. So back to my van build. I'd just like to give a shout out of the unwitting collaborations from Lauren Lawless. Great step-by-step videos that she's created. I'm not even going to try. They did such great work. Each one of these YouTubers have done a great job. Britt and Mike, step by step how to, and again, they converted a Ford Transit as well. Mara Lavender out of England. Her and her partner have converted a couple of different vehicles, but they've recently done a van out there. And then let's just go travel. Again, some great ideas, and again, ideation. I'm all about that, of getting some ideas, and the same with Kate and Joe on the go. Some great ideas, great content on van build to give you some ideation. So let's go into the build. I'm going to show you some images, some videos on part of the process as I moved along, and this is part one of my van build. Okay, here we are. What we're going to do today is we're going to strip down any of the cable raceways and makeways so I can use the framing. We're going to take up the floor mat and anything that's holding the mat back, and that way we can get all the measurements we need before we lay the mat down on top of the wood substrate we're going to put down. So let's go. got the grid down. Now we're going to seal it down, and then I'll infill all of the grid work with insulation from here. And I'm using a 1-inch R6 foam board to fill in the blanks. So let me get started on that, and we'll go from here. Okay, day 2 of the van build. Still working on the floor. I've been meticulously going along, insulating between my subfloor framework and then filling any voids along the edges as I go. So I've got just one cross piece and another small piece here in the back, and then the subfloor as it is will be done. But I've meticulously tried to go across and seal and make sure that I don't have any transfer points, any cracks in the insulation as I go along in this subfloor area, and then crossing it all with a radiant seal sheet across the whole thing for just an additional barrier. Probably didn't have to do it, but it feels good to have that barrier down. So let me just crack on and get the last 2 pieces in. All right, next step. So we have the subfloor down. We've got the underfloor layment down on top of the subfloor. And now we're putting down some Lifeproof flooring that will run. I'm running under everything. I realize I probably could have skimped around and not put it under the cabinets or something like that. But to make sure everything was level and there wasn't a teeter or anything, everything is level all the way through. So that is where we're at. We're going to work on this again tomorrow, but that's where we're at so far. Well, 4 bags of bolts, multiple things to unpack, but I've kind of gotten from the loose parts to, I've got it in basically like the front fairing, the side rails, the outer side rails, and then the inner struts that'll go in to support the solar. So now I'm getting ready to go up and prep the rooftop of the van so I can install the roof rack on the top of my van. So let's go. Okay, so today what we're going to do is we're going to install 2 MaxxAir fans in my camper van. So what we're going to do is we're going to box them, lay the parts out, and then proceed to create my template, get my areas identified on the interior and the exterior. I'm going to do some pilot holes, and then I will cut the holes in the roof. So they have some very good instructions. I purchased these particular ones via Amazon, and there's a great video there about how to install these. And there's a number of van lifers that are out there that have done similar videos on cutting and installing. So one of the things that I did yesterday was to create the interior frames that will go up on the ceiling. And then that way, and I've measured them for the thickness here so that when I do my ceiling, that they're already at the height where I can attach. So I don't have to come back and attach anything. So I've done the measurement from the roof down to my roof framing, ceiling framing, so that they're at the same height. So let's go with the unboxing now. Okay, I just unboxed, and they more or less look identical, but these two are not. So the fan here is a 4-speed fan, and just kind of a plain one. The one in the back, which will be nearer to the bed, it's a dual direction 10-speed fan with a remote. So a little bit of difference, but they're the exact same size, the same install across. And one of the things that's kind of nice is that it came with a piece of packing so that I can trace and make my template for what I need to cut. So that's what I'm going to do now, is to make my template and then go in the van and then mark out the spots on the interior, make some holes, some pilot holes, and then go up top and then draw the same diagram up on the roof so I know where to cut. So let's go to that. Okay, so now you can see my first 4 pilot holes to make my lineups, and then I put 4 larger pilot holes in the corners. So now I can go and cut the from the top side with my saw. And I'm going to put a bag around this area here to catch all the the metal shads. Okay, so I got my trim ring here is in. It's being held in by this board. It's held up while I was doing the assembly from on top. But we can see that the fan is installed here. And we did a similar installation back here as well. So we have the trim ring. This was just holding up while I was screwing from the roof down. And then we've put butyl tape around the outer mounting ring. And then we put self-leveling sealant on the top of the screws and around the entire seating, the roof seating ring that's up there. And then we put the fan, opened the fan up, and then set it and then screwed it in with its side mounts, which is how the fan connects to the inner casing that's here. So let's go around and see it from the top now. Okay, here's what it looks like. The vents are closed. You can see my rack, which is set for 2 solar panel, 2 250-watt panels, and then the front vent that's there. Now, also right below this spot right here, this is where the shower is. So this will be a nice vent to exhaust out any steam that should come from the vent. It's also where the, inside of my shower is where the composting toilet will sit when the shower is not in use. So, not a bad install. Again, when you're cutting your holes, it's always better to undercut than overcut. And so we had to do a little extra trimming and then filing and painting to be ready to put the trim rings in. So, those are the big roof installations I have for now. This will be in part 1. And the last thing we have to do is the solar cable down Chaseway, which will come on, and it'll be over right about there. Okay, we're back up here on the roof. We're going to install the gland for the solar cable. I'm not going to install the solar right now. It's getting ready to be winter, and I'm not going to be using the van during the winter months here. But I do want to work inside of the van this winter. So I've chased my solar wire up to the roof. I've cut a 1-inch hole, and then I have a 1-inch rubber grommet that's between the hole and the wire. And then I've taken the lap sealant and I've put that around the rubber grommet. And now I've installed the butyl tape on the bottom side of the gland in itself. So I'm going to affix this down. I've dried the area, and so I'm ready to install the gland. All right, so here's the final resting place for now. I've put the excess cable loop inside of a plastic bag and then wire tied that off, just because I'll be coming back later to install the panels. I've done the lap sealant around the edges. Looks pretty good, and you'll see a picture here at the end from a top view. So that's the install. Okay, so we're going to get ready to mount the gray tank under the Ford Transit. So what I've done is I have ordered a Ford Transit 22-gallon underbelly tank, and this one is going on the driver's side. They make two versions of this, one for the driver's side and one for the passenger side. Now, I didn't want to do two tanks underneath. It just seemed a little bit overkill for my adventures. I felt between taking a shower here and there and having a sink and using that minimally, that was going to more than serve me from a gray tank. So here we are. And what I've done here is, one, I have located where my discharge or inlet into the tank is going to be from the interior. I've used a universal seal for a 1.5 inch pipe here, and I've drilled the hole and I've inserted this. So this should hopefully line up to right where I have set it. The other things I've done here, you can see that I've done the vent to allow proper drainage out of the pipe and venting out here. So this is a 3/4 inch vent for the tank. And I've also installed a SSU 9 for this tank. And what's unique about this tank is it's shallow at one end and deep at this end where the sensor is at. So I've pre-installed this sensor, and we can see the wires here, and I'm going to hook that up later, as I will also install my drains here. Here will be my waste valve going out. And then I have room to additionally add pre-threaded here for both 3/4 and 2 1.5 inch inlets are here on the bottom as well. So I'm going to use the lowest one as my drain, the one I need to drain my tank. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the tank underneath. I'm going to raise it up. And what's nice about this is it's pre-designed to fit on the Ford Transit. And they've provided me with here the bolts, which they hook into holes that are already in the Ford frame. And this will go in and then hang. And there'll be 2 of these, and then 2 more toward the front, toward the driver's side. And then these will hook, and you turn them once you get them in there. And then they line up to where you have these base plates. And these plates go on over the bolts, and then you have nuts, and then you ratchet those up with the locking nuts that are on there. So this is what we're going to do. So here we go. All right, so we got the tank bolted up using the 4 included L bolts. So it hooks into the frame and then bolts the tank up. So what we're going to do down here, we're going to see here that those are the factory connections. So my drain, I'm not going to opt to do an electronic drain valve. I'm just going to use a typical camper gate valve on that lower connection there. But from there you can see how that tank bolted up down below. And at the exact opposite end on top, if you remember, is where I had the universal seal. And so what I did is got that all set up, and then I drilled the hole down through the floor and right to where the seal was. Now I had set the tank up under here and determined exactly where the hole needed to go, and then I was able to push the 1.5 inch pipe through the universal seal. Now, one trick that they talk about is to put some dish soap around the end to push it through the universal seal. One of the things that I did add a little bit extra to make sure I could get it started into that hole, because, you know, it was a distance between my floor through the floor of the van into the tank. It was about 8 inches from the floor into the tank, so I would have about 2.5 inches into the tank. And so what I did is I used like a pencil sharpener method. So I just shaved the edge down just to give me a little bit of a point to push through that universal seal and get it started without really having any difficulties. And it popped right in there. You just felt it pop right through the universal seal. And so now my main gray water line is installed. Now I can install interior everything to that 1.5 inch pipe. So that was the tank install. Not a lot of space out here, so I really didn't have a chance to do any video of that other than what you previously have seen. So that was my gray water tank install. Okay, well, remember, if you liked the video, please give it that thumbs up or subscribe. We thank you very much for your patronage and watching the videos as we go on all of these different journeys. So thank you and have a great day.